welcome back to Trunkie and Branchie's YouTube channel, the YouTube channel where we try to make the world a little bit better with each video that we make. Please let us know if you feel that we actually make something good in your life, and if any of these videos are helping you in any way, we would love to hear from you and your testimony that you have. We are going back now to the Moving to Sweden series, and we are going to continue with what's on the screen. Wait, you can't see what's on the screen yet. Secret. Sorry, Paul. We are today going to talk about the CV, and CVs, that's a whole science on itself. If you do a quick Google, you'll see that there are thousands and thousands and thousands different ways to make a CV. And all of these articles, not a single one agree with each other. So it's more an art form than it is a science. So in the end, you need to study it and then decide for yourself what works for you and your situation. So why am I doing this? Well, I assist the HR department in conducting what we call speed interviews, and also what we call group manager interviews. So we're doing two sets of interview, and that means that I'm assisting the HR department with doing about 300 to 350 interviews per year, and been doing so for the last 2 years. And I have, since I was 18 years old, I've used the same CV, just updating what it is, because for some reason early on I found a formula that worked very well for me and gave me the opportunity to have interviews with a lot of HR partners just by accident. I mean, I just wrote it. I didn't study to do this, but anyway. So we're gonna go into the CV right now, and this is how I do my CV, and I hope that it will assist you. First of all, we are going to now look at the screen and hope that something magically pops up. I forgot to plug in my headset, so one of the shots that I did for this video, I was speaking for 19 minutes and no sound was recorded because I had forgot to plug the headset into the computer. So I hope I don't repeat that mistake of talking 19 minutes straight. No promises. So let's carry on. Let's look at the top. We have a header at the top, and a header is very important because whatever you write in a header, it will stick on all your papers. Why do you want this? Well, the HR department usually don't print out one candidate at a time. They usually print out 20 to 50 candidates at a time, and I can promise you by personal experience, accidents do happen with coffee and colleagues, okay? And picking together 50 different CVs from the floor, that is annoying, to say the least. So if you have on every page that is printed out a header with your name and social security number on, it is much easier not to mix you up with someone else. Okay, you like to remain as your own person. So header, very important, please do that. Then we have a title, it's called a CV, circum vitae, or however you pronounce it in Latin. Some write it out, some don't, I don't. And then you have personal information, that is your name and social security number. Again, you have your postal address, how they send a letter to you. And then phones, how do we get in touch with you? Do you have a private phone that you don't have on during working hours? Do you have a work phone, and so on? You have to state that. You have a private email, and more importantly, also a LinkedIn page or a web page that you made yourself to present yourself. And this is very important, because what you want to do with a CV is to make it very, very easy for the HR partner to decide that you are a viable candidate for this position that they are looking to fill. So your job with a CV is to make it easy for the HR partner to read and see what is relevant and not. A good rule that I have is that you should have all the important information about the candidate within the first 20 seconds. Because if you're looking at 50 candidates, you will not read 7 pages. And if you look down here, it says 7 pages. And I'll explain to you why it says 7 pages down here. You won't read through that because it's just too many people. So you will just flip the pages one by one and look it through and get an idea if this is a good candidate or not. And this doesn't do justice to the CV. So you need to present the most important information first, but allow for the HR partner to do research at a later stage when they already done the rough cut, so to speak. And if you have a LinkedIn page or your own homepage where you're describing yourself, that is just good. It makes the HR partner's job easier to decide that, hey, you are the candidate that we want. So continue oh yeah, I have a picture. Regarding pictures, when there are people are writing about CVs, it's a complete split about it. Some hate pictures and some love pictures. And in my case, where I actually have people that try to fraud the company by someone else coming to the interview than the candidate himself, I love a picture. And I really love identity cards, because then you can say like, I'm sorry, but you don't match the picture on the driver's license. Thank you, but no thank you. It happens. It happens almost. It happens. It happens. Carry on. So picture, your decision. Like everything else here, it's your decision. You have to do your due diligence and decide what way you want to go. But making life easy for the HR partner. And to do that, I have a summary of skills. These are the 15 seconds reading. This section here, the summary of skill, will decide if I'm interesting or not. And you'll see that I have followed the same structure in this whole section. The title is in italics. You call it italics in English. And then I have educated and experienced. Why do I do this? Well, if you're coming out of a university, you have been educated to do a certain task. Pero you don't have experience yet. You're educated, but you don't have experience. And then it's good to state that, hey, I have a certificate in this, I have this, but I don't have experience yet. And the other way around is also quite common. And in my own personal experience, that's the way things have usually gone. I get a job first, and then I study it. It's completely opposite. But anyway, that's how it's been for me in my life. And now that I'm a little bit older, I also have I don't have anyone where I'm educated but don't have experience yet. Yeah, that's true. So, and then if you are both educated and experienced in it, please state it, because that will help it. But the most important thing is this summary of skills. This needs to be first. Then we are moving down quickly to timeline. Now, when you work in HR, you want to look at the most recent first, and then you want to go back in history. So start with the most recent. And what I have done to ease it for the HR partner is that I have split the timeline into 2 sections. I have split it into ongoing assignments and activities, and I have another one that is concluded, that is finished, done. So I start with the most recent one, and that's the ongoing. And then you'll see that I have a certain structure here where I have the dates in bold, I have the titles in italics, and the company name is with a capital letter when it starts. Then I have a description of what this title and position actually means. And one thing that you need to notice about this document, this example document that it says up here, is that this is a master document. And I really recommend you to get a master document where you put all your experiences in one document, and you put all your descriptions in one document, because it makes it easier for you to tailor a CV to a specific company and a specific position if you already have everything in a single master document, because nobody will read 7 pages, so you need to tailor it. And one part of the tailoring is that if I'm, for example, if I'm working for a rail company, I'm applying for a rail company, they know what a safety coordinator is. They know what a group manager is here in Sweden. Group manager in Sweden is slightly different than in English. It's much smaller in Sweden than it is in most English-speaking countries. So for a rail company, I don't need to write all these explanations of what I've been doing, because they already know it. And if I get this as an HR partner in my hand and I'm working for a rail company and I see an explanation of what I already know, then it's like, duh. Hey man, don't you know hey, this is common stuff for us. However, if you're doubtful that the receiving HR partner knows this for certain, or if you're applying for example forestry, where you're going to work with heavy machinery cutting down wood, they will not know what this is. Then you need to explain it. So you need to tailor it to the receiver to help them understand what you know and don't know. But in your master document, put everything in and then cut it down. Also, when I'm talking about helping, something that I've noticed with in particular Filipino CVs is that they like to shorten the names to an abbreviation. In particularly Maria. Maria is often shortened down to an abbreviation with 3 letters. I don't remember which ones right now, but Swedes will read that as a name. So please, when you write out your name, write out your whole name without abbreviations. Otherwise it can become very funny and awkward. So you will notice here that this section up here is the ongoing. Then suddenly I come with education. It doesn't feel quite natural, right? Because, alright, that's the active ones. What happened with the ones you finish? Yeah, I want to create a divide. Because if I have the ongoing ones and the finished ones next to each other, they will blur. It will make the HR partner mix them up a little bit. So to ease this, I have created a very clear-cut border in between the ongoing assignments and the finished assignments by putting in my educations and other merits. And as you see, I've tried to, as far as possible, keep the same type of structure as I have above. Because the structure helps the reader to follow the text through the whole passage. And you can also use this to your advantage, because if you want something to really pop out, you have the same structure throughout your whole text, and what's important that you think is important, you break away from the structure, you do something else, and then the reader will just like blah 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 blah. Hey, that's different. Why is this different? And then they will read that part even if they don't want to. It's sneaky, but hey, it works. So anyway, education and other merits creates a buffer in between the two timelines, and here we have the finished assignments and activities going on and on and on and on and on, all the way down to my military service here. And then we have volunteering, and in the timeline, don't mix in volunteering. Make a clear cut in between paid jobs, assignments and projects and volunteering. Make a clear cut of the two, so there's no mix up. You will also notice here that in some jobs I have written project or studies. I've put in studies here. I should have put it in its own section here, but you have project, you have studies, you have military service. The paid jobs don't have this little bracket, you see? It doesn't have this little bracket. And that is for the interviewer to know that this was not a full-time employment. Then volunteering, of course, you just write it. And then we come to a very funny part that is called languages. Languages, I've seen a lot of different ways to try to present this, but try to find a common ground. Try to find a common ground where the HR partner can very easily see how you rate yourself. It's no good for an HR partner if you say, I'm good at English. How do you value that as an HR partner? So here I've used something that is called a CEFR. That is short for Common European Framework Reference of Languages. I don't know why they dropped the L, but they did. And then it's the level. I also wrote here estimate, and the estimate is because I haven't done a test to see where I am. I've done an estimation on my own so that the HR partner knows that this is not confirmed that I am a proficient English loser. Alright, this YouTube channel would definitely prove that I am not a proficient English speaker. So what does this mean? Well, let's scroll down a little bit and we see this pinkish thing that I've cut out from Cambridge. Thank you, Cambridge. It's one of the documents that they gave the European Union when they were debating on how they would use it, so it's open source. So anyway, you have proficient user and a description on what they need to know to be a proficient user, independent user, and so on. And this is the one that just started learning language, and this one that is more fluent. So if you look up here, I put Tagalog starter level knowledge estimated A1. So then we go down to A1. Familiar everyday expressions. Gutom na ko, busog na ko. Sige. Kanan para po. Pasok and everything. Very simple. So that's where I rate myself right now with Tagalog, that I can distinguish from when my wife is angry at me, and I can distinguish when she's happy. That's kind of my Tagalog level right now. So moving on, because I'm taking too much of your time right now. I can feel it in my bones that I'm taking too much time, and we're going to talk about references as a final thing. Now, I've seen lists of references, like 50 people, and this doesn't help. This doesn't help at all. Try to narrow down and choose whoever are your references, and also make sure that your references know that you're putting them up as references. There's nothing more uneasy when you get a call from someone say, hey, you're the reference for Mr. that. It's like, why? What? Hang on. You're not prepared, right? So you need your reference persons to be prepared to answer if anyone calls and say, hey, we're looking into Mr. Matthias. What do you think of him? We're looking into Madame Maria. What do you think of her? We're looking into Andreas and blah 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 blah. So make sure that your reference persons know that they are a reference person. And you see, I've chosen 3. I've chosen a former manager because they always want to speak with a manager. How is he as an employee? They always want to speak to a colleague. How is he as a colleague? And then I've added also a mentor. If you have the chance in life, get a mentor that can help you grow in your business. So then also they can put it out, how is he as a student, or how is she as a student. And then also always be at the HR person's service, okay? Always have a list that if they need more references, you can just push them in if they request. The CV is your job to make the HR partner flow through like flowing water, easy and nice, and can quickly decide that, hey, this person is the candidate for us. That was all I had today, and it kind of got a little bit long, much longer than I expected, so I will just right now say thank you for watching, and ingat.